And the dog says, vamos! Michelle.
Where is
Buen día.
Morning.
Morning.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Good morning.
How you doing, Javi?
I'm doing great. Like I saw the Shake It Off video. I gotta tell you, I was pretty
You're
excited.
kidding. I heard it was going around.
And I saw it somewhere. I don't remember where I saw it. So
10 seconds of fame.
I like it.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I need to get one of those Revolution backgrounds. Who can send me that pic?
I can send you the backgrounds, Howie.
All right. I think they're super cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Next party, you owe me a dance, Norma.
Of course. Most definitely.
We gotta get we gotta get the party started again.
Most definitely. Missed them.
Okay, I think we can start today's session. Thank you so much, everyone, to connect in this coffee break. Today we will be talking about with Ana and Jorge about the supplements and medications, the myths and facts for the coronavirus situation. So I will let now Ana to start talking. I will be stop my thing.
Yes, let's do it. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? Okay, so let's go ahead and start. Good morning. Thank you for joining. It's our coffee break is titled Myths and Facts. We wanted to kind of make it a little bit more clinical and just like think about all those questions that going around of like what supplements or medications to use during COVID, or like what should be avoided, kind of a little bit of that topic. Jorge and I will be, we've divided this presentation. We'll be going around and saying some myths and facts, and we hope you guys participate. So ground rules, we will be presenting 8 myths or facts related to supplements and medicines during COVID. And we want you guys to participate. So we are gonna request for you to type in the chat, in the Zoom chat, what do you think the response is? If you think it's true, then you'll type yes. And if you think it's false or it's a myth, then you'll type no. You can also raise your hand in the chat. I didn't know that option. Veronica told us. So you can also do that. And Veronica is going to be helping us kind of find out what the responses are. And then after everyone has casted their vote, we will be providing the answer and a brief explanation of the topic. So let's see how many you guys have correct. I'm going to leave you with Jorge. He's going to start.
Okay, so let's start off with our first statement of the day. So the first statement is, can vitamin C may reduce the duration and severity of infections such as the common cold? Is this a fact or a myth? Vitamin C may reduce the duration and severity of infections such as the common cold.
My professor, that's crazy. Crazy.
I know the professor you're saying, so yes.
Yeah, yes, but I don't know.
Look at Javi, only with
Javi
five.
said only with vodka.
I mean, Harry has the correct line of,
Well,
Okay, so we're ready?
people are answering yes.
so many are answering that it's a fact. So let's see.
Let's see.
So yes, you are correct. This is a fact. Vitamin C is an important physiological antioxidant that plays an important role in the immune function. So many studies have actually shown that using vitamin C, ranging from the doses of 250 milligrams to 1 gram, can actually reduce the chances of you getting a common cold by 50%. So other studies have actually said that using vitamin C at doses from 1 gram to 2 grams daily can actually reduce the duration of common colds by 8% to 8% in adults and 14% in children. Very important is you cannot take more than 2 grams of vitamin C daily. If you take more than 2 grams or 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C, then you're in higher risk of developing a side effect. And a common side effect of vitamin C is diarrhea. Sadly enough, there is not sufficient evidence that the use of vitamin C can actually reduce or prevent the incidence of COVID-19 in patients with COVID-19 infections. So right now, the recommendation is if you take vitamin C, it actually has proven that it can boost your immune system. So if you have an improved immune system, then you're better off for fighting different type of viral infections, such as what is the COVID-19.
Okay. Let's go to our second facts or myths. So patients using ACE inhibitors, and ACE inhibitors are medication used for hypertension. Some of them are called, the most common are lisinopril, enalapril, and others. So patients using ACE inhibitors should discontinue their therapy due to COVID-related relationship of worse prognosis. What do you guys think?
Is this a fact or a myth?
Or a myth? I'm seeing a lot of no, myth, no. Okay.
There's a lot of myths.
No way unless you don't pee. I mean, you are fun today. I mean, you're fun all the time. Okay. I think we have a couple of them, and the correct answer is it is a myth. So patients using ACE inhibitors should not discontinue their treatment. It's really important. Like anytime you hear something about, oh, you need to stop treatment, you usually just, you need to make sure you've talked to your physician about this before. But I did want to give you guys a little bit of background on like why this whole fuss started about ACE inhibitors and COVID, and it's basically, and literature is not really consistent on this topic, so it's a little bit weird to talk about something that there's not really consistency, but there seems to be a relationship between ACE inhibitors and COVID and how is, what is going on. So they actually think that COVID-19 binds to these receptors called ACE2, and they bind in the lower respiratory tract, and then they gain access through the lungs. So COVID uses those receptors to gain access to the lungs where it starts presenting the symptoms. And then how is it all related to ACE inhibitors? And it's basically because ACE inhibitors increase the amount of these receptors available in the body, throughout the body. Several professional societies have put forward their guidance regarding, what to do with these medications in regards to COVID-19. And in summary, all the guidelines recommend continuing using these medications unless clinically indicated. So, and it's really important you talk to your physician if you're going to discontinue any type of medication. And then they go a little bit furthermore and they say, they are not suggesting the initiation of an ACE or an ARB in those patients that there's not a clinical indication. So if there's not a clinical indication, then you're not going to start an ACE inhibitor. But if you're already in one, you definitely want to keep on using them. So you keep on using your medication during this moment. Okay, let's go on to our next. There you go.
Okay, so our next statement is, it is safer to take acetaminophen, also known as Tylenol or Panadol, to treat symptoms of COVID-19 before taking ibuprofen, also known as Advil or Motrin. So it is safer to take Tylenol to treat symptoms of COVID-19 before taking Advil.
What do you guys think?
Is this a fact or a myth?
Ooh, I think you got some people saying fact, or we have some people saying
Fact.
myth. I like
So
this one.
yes.
I really like this one. CNN was all over this.
They were actually.
Good. Okay, you ready for this?
So this is actually a fact. There's a lot of controversy with this fact though. So basically what the science tells us and all the studies say is that if you take ibuprofen, then you're going to increase the receptors for which the COVID-19 actually binds to. These are the ACE2 receptors, which Anna actually explained a little bit earlier. And if you have more receptors to which the COVID-19 actually binds to, then you're more prone of getting the infection of COVID-19, or you're at higher risk or more serious complications and symptoms. So based on the studies, the spokesperson for the World Health Organization, Christian Lindmeier, actually made a statement recommending the use of acetaminophen instead of the use of ibuprofen. What happened is, quickly later on, via Twitter, on March 18, 2020, the World Health Organization actually tweeted that it does not recommend against the use of ibuprofen. One day later, on March 19, 2020, the FDA issued a statement that it is not aware of scientific evidence connecting the use of ibuprofen with worsening COVID-19 symptoms. So there's a lot of confusion. At first, they don't recommend the use of ibuprofen, but later on, they say there isn't sufficient evidence telling us that the use of ibuprofen can actually worsen the COVID-19 symptoms. Well, a lot of scientists, experts, and doctors have recommended that preferentially you use acetaminophen for the treatment of fever. There's a lot of studies that actually show that if you use different non-steroids like ibuprofen, anti-inflammatories as ibuprofen, you could actually worsen a lot of symptoms when you have viral infections. So preferentially, the recommendation by many doctors is, if you think you have COVID-19 symptoms or are in high risk of getting a COVID-19 infection, then preferentially you avoid the use of ibuprofen and start using acetaminophen for certain type of symptoms.
Yep. Just to add here to Jorge, so I mean, like our takeout of this, is that whenever you think you have like a viral infection, you most likely are gonna go with ibuprofen. You're gonna avoid any NSAID, which are like Advil. So this is like something we were taught in pharmacy school. When you think it's a viral background, then you're gonna want to do acetaminophen for fever.
Yeah, try to avoid any type of
Yeah.
anti-inflammatory.
There's other things related to like why they prefer they don't recommend an NSAID, which is Advil or Motrin, in viral infection.
So Anna and George, you know, you didn't mention aspirin. Is aspirin also a non-steroidal, or is that like its own class?
That's the part. And no studies have shown that actually aspirins can affect symptoms of any COVID-19 symptoms. So, and basically what the stance is for the World Health Organization at the FDA is if there isn't any studies, they're not gonna recommend against it, basically.
Right.
It's like its own class. And you know, aspirin patients, you know, they really need to keep taking their medication. This is not something we are gonna joke about.
Right.
If you're using aspirin, you want to keep on using it despite your, you know, whatever, if you think you have a viral or a bacterial.
Yeah. And this is me just from a long time ago. I don't know if it's still, because we got all these young gun clinicians that are really, really awesome. You know, the one thing I think, and I don't know if it's true still, so I'm asking George, Anna, and other clinicians is, you know, the one thing you need to worry about when you take aspirin is if you're febrile, right? Because of Reye syndrome.
Yep.
So I think that if that's still out there, the one thing I would caution is And this is probably more for the 325 milligram dose and higher versus the 81 milligram, which people take for protective cardiovascular issues. If you're taking more than 325, I think, and you have fever, I think temporarily, or talking to your physician is warranted, because you may choose to take a break from the aspirin and maybe have them switch you over to some other therapy if you're using it for cardiovascular, conditions. Would that still be accurate, or is there a different school of thought now?
No, definitely, yes.
That's accurate.
That is still accurate.
And the reason I bring up aspirin is because many folks think that aspirin is something like completely different, and it's a very similar in effects to the ibuprofen. And then finally, people don't know sometimes that when you take certain over-the-counter products, it has aspirin. Like Alka-Seltzer in a yellow box has aspirin in it, right? So it's very important for you to read the ingredients, because sometimes Pepto-Bismol, stuff like that, you just got to be careful. So good stuff, guys.
Yep. We're getting some really interesting questions in the chat. So I'm gonna answer first Carolina ones, because it's pretty simple. So do you recommend that no treatment for fever be taken? Our recommendation is that if you have a fever, you use acetaminophen over Advil. But I think this is a great moment to also bring back these basic things we grew up with, like showering with cold water, and doing these basic
cold pads too.
Yeah, like cool water pads to cool you off. So we wanna kind of bring in these old measures of how fever was taken care of, you're in a fresh air and you're not covered. So we would recommend acetaminophen over, yes, if you have fever, you should use acetaminophen. And then you should also use these other measures that are a little bit more old and more basic, but these are the ones that our grandma taught us and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, understand that the fever reaction of the body is a defensive mechanism to raise the internal body temperature, to kill the microbes that you are
to fight against the
right?
infection.
So at some point, you don't necessarily always want to counteract that. It's always when you have the chills at night and you're sweating profusely, and then the next day you feel better. There's a lot of science behind that. So it's not always necessarily a bad thing when you have fever, but it can be problematic, and the pain and aches that go with that. So
yes, that's really good. And we have another question here, and do antibiotics and acetaminophen interact negatively? Not that I know of.
No,
I think we
don't.
just need to make sure that some medications can have, depending on the doses, can have other type of situations like renal impairment and stuff like that. And then acetaminophen, we need to make sure you hepatically. So there's other situations that you need to think as a whole, but not interacting, not that I know of directly. So there's gonna keep on. You guys can keep on typing questions, and then we're gonna keep on going just for the sake of time, and then we can answer them.
Yeah, we can go back and answer any type of questions.
Okay, so moving on to our other fact and myth. So there is evidence related to vitamin D deficiency predisposing to COVID-19. Do you think this is a fact or a myth? Whenever you have deficiency in vitamin D, do you think that predisposes you to COVID? Myth, fact. Okay, let's see. Myth, not sure. I like the honesty.
Sure. Yep.
True.
True.
Fact. True.
So basically,
okay,
they're saying it's a fact.
They're saying a fact. So it is a myth, people.
boom.
You can't always have it right. So vitamin D is really important for bone metabolism because it regulates calcium concentrations, and it increases the absorption of calcium. However, there is no evidence related to vitamin D deficiency predisposing to COVID, nor were there studies of supplementation needed for preventing or treating COVID. But you got to think of what happened that people actually started thinking that it would be related. And it's just, there is some evidence that daily vitamin D3 over weeks and months can prevent other acute respiratory infections. So particularly in those people that have like deficiency in this matter, but there was no evidence linked. There hasn't been evidence related to this being predisposing to COVID.
I think that
So
was a
recommendation.
Trick question.
Yep.
Go for it.
No, that was a trick question.
Oh yeah, it was.
Oh no, it was.
This is the thing, like
Hey, they
something
cannot
is
all be easy.
Yeah, you think something is related, and then you kind of think it's gonna. Oh yeah, it's gonna be definitely a yes. So no, in this cases, the recommendation is that you do get your vitamin. If you have any deficiency, you get supplemented, and it's just good. But there's no evidence related to deficiency with COVID-19.
Yes.
Okay, let's keep on going. The next one.
Okay, so this is a good one. Hydroxychloroquine, also known as Plaquenil, can be used for treatment or prevention of COVID-19.
Oops, sorry.
So Anna told you the answer already. So.
It was my bad. I was going to type in the chat box and then I pressed it.
So yes.
Let's see.
This is actually a myth.
My bad.
So go to the next slide. So basically, talking a little bit about hydroxychloroquine, or also known as Plaquenil, it is usually indicated for malaria, rheumatoid arthritis, or lupus. And what the mechanism of action of Plaquenil actually developed, and what the scientists thought, is that based on the mechanism of action, they could actually lower the amount of the virus in the body and help fight against the COVID-19. So I actually want to show you guys two different studies. So these are the studies that were mostly on the newspapers and mostly on the news. And I wanted to show you a little bit of the statistics. So the first study with positive results was a 42-patient study in France. They divided it in 3 groups. One of the groups was actually taking Plaquenil. The other group was actually taking Plaquenil with antibiotic azithromycin, and the other group was not taking any kind of medication. So the results were that the group that was taking Plaquenil and Plaquenil with azithromycin had a lower amount of the virus in the body than the group that did not take any of the medications. So based on these results was that we saw the famous tweet by the President Donald Trump saying that Plaquenil and azithromycin taken together could be a real game changer. But the thing was that this was too small of a sample size to actually say that the medication could be effective. So we can't take for granted that a study with such a small sample size could be said that the medication could be effective against COVID-19. A study with the negative results showed, it was a study made in Veterans Affairs Hospital with 368 patients. They were divided in 3 groups. One of them was using Plaquenil, the other one was using Plaquenil with azithromycin, and the other group wasn't taking any of the medications. So basically the death rate for the group that was taking Plaquenil was 27.8%. The death rate for the group that was taking Plaquenil with azithromycin was 22.1%. And the death rate for the group that wasn't taking any medication was 11.4%. So basically the patients that were taking Plaquenil had a higher death rate than the patients that were not taking Plaquenil. But the study does show that people who had more severe symptoms were also more likely to get the medications. So basically people who got the Plaquenil had worse symptoms, had worse prognosis, and actually were more prone to death than the people who did not, and the patients who did not take Plaquenil. So basically, based on all this information, there's still like 15 other different type of studies going on and clinical trials for Plaquenil. So until we have all the information and all the results of those studies, we cannot say that Plaquenil can be effective as a treatment or prevention for COVID-19 at the moment.
Moving on to the next one, and our time is a little bit limited because we love to talk.
Yeah.
So zinc is an integral role in maintaining the immune system function. What do you guys think? Is it a fact or is it a myth? Okay, I see a lot of facts and true. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So yes, it is a fact. Zinc is essential mineral in our body, and really interesting is that our body does not make it for itself. So we need to obtain it from our diet or supplement. There's a lot of information here, but you got to know that it's an integral part of maintaining the immune system function. And it's an essential mineral in the production of different immune cells. So it kind of helps all of our immune cells develop. And it is required for protein and DNA synthesis, and it's found in different enzymes. So it does play a crucial role in immune system. And there's different studies that have evidence in potential role of zinc supplementation in reducing the duration of cold and lung symptoms. So zinc is really good for boosting immune system, and the recommended dose of elemental zinc for adults is 25 to 50 milligrams orally per day. And in pediatrics, it is dosed based on the weight of the patient. And then for patients that are pediatric, the dose can be divided in 3 times a day for a maximum of 1 milligram per kilogram per day. Okay, we have 2 more left. And here you go, Jorge.
Okay, the next statement is a COVID-19 vaccine will be available in the next few months. I hope so too.
I hope so. I like that one. I hope so too. Myth, big myth. Ooh, Tony, myth.
Basically, everybody's saying a myth.
Yeah.
But Pfizer is telling other things.
Would be nice, but because the name of the
Could be nice.
Yeah.
Wishful thinking, wishful thinking.
Yeah. Okay, so we're ready to see what it is.
So yes, this is a myth. Basically, the realistic timetable for us to have a vaccine for the COVID-19 is around 12 months to 16 months, basically. So they want to have an emergency vaccine by October, but as you can see by all the phases that you need to actually implement and get to the market a vaccine, it's practically pretty tough to actually have a vaccine by October. So usually it takes around 5 to 10 years to get a vaccine in the market. And the reason why is that it has to go through so many stages that it takes years to actually develop. So at first you have to create the vaccine, then you have to have the animal trials and the preclinical, then you have the clinical development, then you have the human trials, which is divided in 3 different phases. And then if it all goes well, then it goes approved by the FDA, manufacturing, and then quality control. So basically, if you want to know where we're at, we're right now with the COVID-19 vaccine, we're in phase 1 of human clinical trials. So right now they're verifying is the vaccine safe for the people? Next step is going to be the correct dose, and the phase 3 is going to be, is it effective against the condition, against the COVID-19? So we still have a long way to go to actually get a COVID-19 vaccine. So in the next slide, I actually wanted to show you a little bit of the update and the progress that is being made by the companies for the COVID-19 vaccine. So basically the first human trial for a vaccine was announced last month by scientists in Seattle. So this is Moderna, and they actually had a human trial in the first 2 months. And basically they had a head start because they had a vaccine created, or were trying to create a vaccine for the SARS virus that was out in 2003 that had a very high mortality rate. And basically the genetic code for the SARS virus in 2003 is 80 to 90% the same genetic code as the COVID-19. So they had a head start because they were already developing a vaccine for the SARS virus in 2003. So that's the reason why in only a few months they have a human trial going on for a COVID-19 vaccine. In Oxford, the first trial in Europe is going on with more than 800 recruits. Pharmaceutical giants Sanofi and GlaxoSmithKline have teamed up to develop a vaccine, which is huge because they're 2 of the 4 pharmaceutical giants that actually distribute and manufacture the vaccine. And biotech and Pfizer have announced completion of dosing for first human trials and candidates in Germany. So basically, there are more than 20 companies right now in the race for the COVID-19 vaccine. And there are more than 90 vaccines being developed against COVID-19.
Okay. And then our last one is remdesivir is an antiviral medication that received an emergency use authorization for COVID-19 by the FDA recently. Let's see, true, fact, yes, fact, was definitely a fact. Tony, I love your responses. Watch Gilead market share.
What's the market share? Yeah.
And the response is it is a fact. So you are right. And I'm going to go really quickly over this. So FDA did issue an emergency use authorization on May 1st that allowed this the drug to be used. And it's really specific in like hospitalized patients with suspected or laboratory confirmed COVID who have severe disease. And what that means is that their oxygen saturation is really low and they might need, they require mechanical ventilation. And this medication is IV, so it is to be administered by a healthcare provider in an inpatient hospital setting. Gilead is a manufacturer being used, that is supplying these medications to authorized distributors. But I do want to tell you guys, there's 3 studies, and be honest, I think there's a lot to be done yet. So there's like 3 studies. One of them was with placebo, and there was no power. So that means that it really didn't show that it was, it was better. The other one was from Gilead, and then it had a really good results, but it didn't compare with placebo. And then there's another one with placebo that kind of seemed to be okay. So basically, efficacy and safety of this treatment has not really been established, and the NIH states that clinical data is insufficient to recommend either for or against. So it's just something that is out there, and it is for the physician to decide if they want to treat it or not. They want to use it or not, but there's still not something that is for sure with efficacy and safety that has been established right now. So I know this is something that a bit controversy, but this is what we made. We hope you enjoyed it. If you guys have any questions, it's already 2 minutes past our time. So if you guys have any questions, you can feel free to like email us, Jorge and myself, and we'll, if you have anything you want to learn about, then make sure you just email us and we can make sure that we make another coffee break with an interesting topic.
Yep.
Okay, so Veronica, you need to say anything, or we're good to go?
No, if anyone has any questions, that will be everything for today. Thank you so much once again, Ana and Jorge. You're always awesome.
I have
It was a great material for today. So thank you so much.
I think Carolina has a question, but
Yeah.
I just want to tell you guys, thank you for taking the time out to do this. I think it's super cool.
Thank you, Javi. Thank you for joining.
Yes.
Thank you guys. I'm reading here, I'm taking my supplements, and does it make a difference to take all the supplements at the same time versus it suggests you to take one in the morning, one in the night? What is that? How does that work?
That is a great question. You want to make sure you eat. Your stomach is full, because if you take vitamins in an empty stomach, you usually you can end up, vomiting and everything. So you want to make sure you have a big meal and whatever fits your schedule. Like I try to do it in the morning. Like I try to have a breakfast and then have them all together. Just because it's my schedule. If I leave it for later on, then I probably forget. But usually you can take them all together. Some of them, depending if you use other medications, could interact. So you want to make sure if you're using other medications, you can ask us directly, like if you want, or you can ask your pharmacist and be like, hey, I take these medications and I'm taking these supplements. Can I take them together? Because sometimes they can interact between a supplement and your regular medication. So this is something to.
And the one thing I would say on top of that is some of these supplements can stimulate, right? And so if you take them too late in the day, it could actually bother you from sleeping. So keep that in mind. And then also, for any of those young Abarcans out there that are drinking energy drinks, I think you need to be very cautious in drinking your energy drinks and some of these supplements as well. So just be careful. Those supplement drinks are really hard on the heart, and increases the pulse. And it does things that, you just have to be very careful, especially if you're in a dehydrated state. So, I also want to caution you guys on that. Not to say that you can't drink the Red Bulls of the world, but they can be an issue, especially if you're also taking it with other supplements. So just wanted to say that as well.
Thank you. And yes, I'm reading in the chat that it's hard on the stomach. So this is like an exploratory thing. I mean, I used to go to the bathroom perfectly, and now it's like an issue. Every day is a surprise because of these supplements that I'm taking.
Yeah,
so,
some supplements can actually give you constipation or certain different side effects. But if you take them with food, don't take them usually with an empty stomach, because that could actually harm your stomach. And be careful with certain types of medications, such as Synthroid, which actually has a lot of interactions with different supplements.
And lastly, with COVID-19, I'm sure people's diets may be changing, right? And that may also have something to do with, the bowel movements, and just if you're eating a lot of fiber and you're not drinking a lot of water, or, it's always good to have a balanced diet. And again, your physician or your pharmacist or any one of us could also help you offline if anyone ever needs additional information. So we love you guys. This is great.
Thank you.
I feel so energized for the day now. Like, you guys are doing great things, man. And I hope everyone here in Abarcan has a great day. And, let's stick together and get over this crazy stuff that's happening out there. So I hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks, Harry. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Jorge.